Hey there, so today we'll learn how to use Git and we'll go through a basic command to create a local repository. So here I have a folder project. I'll create another folder project. Okay, and let's just create some files within this web project. And let's just go for some folders, images, CSS, and okay, let's just go for images, CSS, and GS. And I'll create a new file, index.html. And within this HTML file, let's just add a headline. Go for hello, save that. And we'll enter this image folder and download an image. Okay. And let's just create some files within the CSS folder. Okay, we'll go for main CSS, and within the GS, I'll go for main GS. Okay, now what do I have here? I have a project with some files, CSS files, images, and GS files, JavaScript files, and an JavaScript file and index.html. But what I want to do exactly is, if, for example, this is day 0, for example, I start doing some modification within these files. But in day 20, as an example, I do another modifications, but I want to get into what I already done in day 0 or in day 1 or in day 2 or whatever. So I want to track the modification and track the history of the modification that I will do through the whole process on creating my project or the web project. Okay, to do that manually, so we can do that manually. You can just keep copying the same file. So for example, if I do a modification of this index.html file, okay, and I just need to move first to copy this folder. Let's just copy this web project. I need to copy this web project to another web project version 2. Then I enter this web project version 2. Then I open this index.html and I do a modification as an example. Now I have 2 versions. So a version which has the first modification and the version which has the second modification. So this isn't a good thing, because doing that manually, you just keep creating folders multiple times and it isn't good. So this is why we need to use a system that allows us to do that. And Git is the system that allows us to do that. Git enables versioning for your project, and it will give you all of the history and some other features, and we'll discover all of that. In order to use Git for a specific folder, no, we have this web project. It's just a folder, a simple folder. There is no versioning, and you need to use the Git command. And personally, I use the Git CLI. And if you are not CLI command, or if you don't like using command lines in general, you can install a GUI. You can install a GUI software, but in general, if you are interested by installing the Git CLI, you can go into this URL right here and download it for the Mac user, Windows, or Linux user. You can just pick one, then install it. And to check if Git is installed, open the terminal on your machine and use Git version, and it will give you the latest version that you already installed, and that's good. Now, I suppose that Git is already in your machine. How to enable this web project, which has some files on it, to use Git. Okay, to enable Git for this web project, you just need to use Git init. And this Git init, as you already see here from the message, initializes empty Git repository. Now we have a Git repository, and in what? In a folder.git. And if we go to this .git folder, so when I use this ls, you see that I don't have this git folder. I need to use this ls all, so it lists me all of the folder, even the hidden one, because this .git folder is a dot folder, which ls will not list it. And once I enter to this cd.git folder, you will see here that I have some files and folders. And these files and folders are used to gather the information on whatever you are using and of the Git commands, because we will start using Git command, Git status, and some other commands to track all of this information, or to track everything. So all of that will be stored within this .git folder, and this is what you need to take. This .git folder gather the history and the information about the project, and you can track everything within the .git folder. You don't have to do that manually, but the git command will help us to do that. But if you just remove, if for example, you remove this .git folder, which means now this web project, you can't use any command. Okay, let's just do that again. If I use git init, it will create a .git folder. Then I can use the commands. For example, if I use this git status right here, which gives us some information about the interactive files. Once I use this git status, so it's give me this information. But why? From where it gets this information is from the git folder. Okay, but if I remove this .git folder, then I will use the git status again. So as you see here, I have not a git repository. Why? Because there isn't a .git folder to gather this information from. But what if I create it manually? Let's just create this folder manually. Now I have this .git folder manually. So this git status will work? For sure not, because we don't have the structure of all of the files within this .git folder. And git init, once you are using it, let's just remove this .git, which will create it manually. And this git init, when you are using it, it just create, let's just enter to .git now, it creates a structure of files. And so when git can gather all of this information, so you can't do that manually. Okay, let's just summarize all of that. You use git init. Okay, I'll remove it again. Use git init to enable git for a specific project. This is a folder, and you want to enable git to be used for this specific folder, and you want to gather the history and the information, and you want to enable and stop using git for a specific folder. Use git init. Once you are using it, it's create a git folder. Okay, the second thing, if you want to remove, or if you decide that a web project and you don't want to just using git anymore for this project, you can remove the git folder by using rm or by removing it manually. Once you are removing it, you will lose everything. Yeah, you will lose literally everything. But what I mean by that, you lose the histories and everything you are doing. You only have access to the latest version of your web project. Okay, before removing the .git folder, you need to know exactly what you are doing. This isn't just about removing the folder. Okay, now, but sometimes, let's just initialize that. Sometimes you want a copy of this web project, okay, but without this .git folder. For that, you can just copy the folder web project and create another project. For example, project no version in or whatever. Okay, now you can have when I enter this web project, I have git. Now, when I enter this web project, no version in, I just need to remove git from this folder. Now I can have a copy, ones that use git and ones that doesn't use git. Okay, just keep in mind that. Be aware when you want to remove the .git folder, because you will lose everything. So far, we have a local repo when you can use git. But what if I want to link this local repo to an online repo by using other services like bitbucket.org? And what is this tools allows you to do? Okay, bitbucket.org is not just a code management, as they already said. It doesn't allow you just to use git and track the history. It unlocks some other features, like gives the team a one place to plan projects. What I mean by that? So for example, you can have a team of other people around the world, someone from the USA, someone from Ukraine or wherever. So you can have some other people. You don't have to be at the same local, because once you are creating this web project, locally means that you need to be at the same place in order to work on this project. Maybe you are in the same web agency or whatever. But in general, if you are using this Bitbucket or GitHub or any other website, so they add some other features that you can use to create a one team that can work remotely on the same project, and in order to collaborate and code and all of this stuff, and some other tools. So they can also allow you to deploy by using some great tools, and all of that can be unlocked. But in order to do all of that, you need to attach or to link this web project, which is created locally, to web project will be created online. And for that, I will use GitHub and I create a new repo. I'll use the same name, web project. Okay, web project, for description. Okay, I will create a repository. Now I have an online web project, and this is the local repository, but this is a online web project. Now I need to link them, and to link them I need to copy that, as you see here. So they gives you some command that you need to use, but we'll only use this one because we already use this git in it, and I know I don't need to add that. I will show you that in the next lessons. But in general, we only need to link this local web project to this online web project. Now, once I use this command, git remote add origin, and as you see here, this git remote add origin, it will add this URL. You need this URL. This URL is a URL of the repo. Now, if I just copy and paste the URL, we'll access to this repo right here. Now, I just need to copy or paste the URL. Now, the remote origin already exists. I think they've already done that. But to check, just do git remote -v. It will give you that it is already linked. Now, this web project was created locally. It can also push the modification, all of that, into the online web project. Okay, so everyone will have the same web project locally, and everyone can have the same one online, and you can just push the modification and work at the same project. And it is just a super good tool that can help you to unlock some other features and use all of these features like issues, pull requests, and project management, wiki, and all of that. And this is what these tools are built for. So to clone a remote repo is straightforward. What I have here is this web project. I want to clone it from GitHub into my local machine. I have here a project folder, and if I use that ls, I have nothing within this project folder. I just want to clone this web project or this remote repo into this project folder. To do that, I need just to use git clone, then the URL of the git project, of the web project. So the URL is not this one because this is the GitHub URL. I need the git or the git folder or the git project. And for that, I need this web project.git, and this is the URL that I need to copy. Okay, once I copy this URL and I use it, now this git clone, then the URL. And as you see here, now if I use ls, I can access to the folder. And if I just use this tree command, you will see that I have the same files as the one in web project or as the remote one. Now I can do any modifications, commit them locally, then push them into this remote repo. I have this web project right here, and if I want to get the status, what the git status do exactly? It just gives me some information about the modified files. If I modify something, once I do this git status right here, it will give me that I have modified something on a specific file. Okay, let's just do that and then modify the index.html, and they will add some text. Okay, let's just add first program. Okay, and I'll just open the CSS file, and I'll open this main CSS and then add the body, background, go for red, save that. So I do two modifications on the index.html and the main.css file. And to see that, once I just type git status, you see here that it shows me that I have two modified files, the main.css and the index.html, but they are not staged for commit. And to stage this, the modified files to be ready to commit, so in this case, I need to use the git add -all. If I use this git add -all, means that I need to add everything, this main.css and index.html file, into the staged area so that I can commit the changes. But if I just want to add one file, I can go for the CSS main.css file, and for other ones, but in general, I would just add everything here. And once I do this add all, now if I rerun git status again, you'll see that the change to be committed, they are ready to be committed. Now I just need to do that commit m, then I will just need to type a message for my commit. So in this case, let's just use update index.html and main.css. You need to be more explicit because this is just a normal change. But in general, you need to be more explicit on this message because you will use them when you need to navigate through some commands and get some information on how this person is doing that or whatever. But it depends. So these messages need to be explicit in general. Okay, now let's just git commit that. But you see here, update index.html and main.css. Two files changed. So I commit the changes. Now, if I rerun git service again, you see that I have here another message which tells me that your branch is ahead of your origin master by one commit. What that means exactly? Okay, let's just do that again. If we check here the remote repo, you see that I have only one commit, initial commit. But here in this web project, we have two ones. The first one, which is the initial commit, and the second one, which we already done here, is I commit by using this updated index.html and main.css. And to be at the same level, I need to push the modification or push the commit into this remote repo. And to do that, I just need to use this git push. Then you git push your origin master. Now let's just hit enter. And that's done. Now, if I just refresh that, we'll see that I have another commit now, update index.html and main.css. And if we take a look right here, you see that I add this background and this first program. And now I have this web project. If I just retype again, git status, so it will tell me that your branch is up to date within your origin master and nothing to commit. So I have nothing to commit. Everything is at the same level. So the local one is at the same level as the remote one. So we use the git push to transmit the local branch commits into the remote repository. And what if we want to do the opposite? Okay, I'll go here and I create a new readme. And I'll go for that. Let's just save that and commit a new file. Now I have a new change, but I don't have the same change within this local repository. Now I have this readme.md, and if I do an ls here, you don't find this file right here. So we don't find this readme.md. Even if I'm using this git status right here, it's going to give me nothing to commit, working tree clean. But the problem is this web project right here, or this remote web project, is one commit ahead of this local one. And to do that, I don't have to push because I have nothing to push into the remote repo, but I need to do the opposite. In this case, I need to use git pull, which will pull the modifications of the last commit, because the last commit right here is create the readme.md file. And once I do this git pull, now let's just wait a little bit. And as you see here, I have this readme.md and while file changed. And if I do an ls, now I get access to this readme.md file. So use git push if you want to push the modification from the local repo into the remote repo, and use the git pull to pull the modifications from, or pull the commits from this remote repo into this local repo. Okay, what do I have here is the web project, and I have a master branch. And what if I want to add another branch? But before that, to check the branch that you are already using, so just when you type in this git branch, it will give you the branch that you are using, in our case master. And this asterisk right here is just telling you that this is the selected one. If you want to create another branch, you just need to use this git branch, then the name of the branch. Let's just go for header as an example. And now if I retype again git branch, you'll see that master is the selected one, but header is not. And if I want to switch to the other branch, I just need to use git branch, then git checkout, then the name of the branch. In our case, I will want to switch into the header. Now, if I just write again git branch, you will see that header is the selected one. I have already that. I have that in my terminal, just showing me that I'm switching to header, and I can just switch to master. Let's just switch to master, and you will see that I have master here. And if I switch again to header, you'll see that header is the selected one. Okay, this is how we switch to branches, and this is how we create branches. But why we should create them? Why we should create these branches at all? Okay, the first interesting thing, for example, I'm here. So I'm selecting this header branch, or I'm inside this header branch, but I want to add some modification. I want to add the header code of this index on this index.html. Let's just go for header right here. Go for header. Then I want to also create a new file inside the CSS file. Okay, let's just go for a new file, and I'll go for header.css. And I add a new code right here, header. I'll go for display block. Okay. Display block, not block. And with everything. Now, what do I have here? I have a new file, add a new file, and index.html, I add the header code. But why I'm doing that on a separate branch? Because I'm not sure if this code will be included in the cleanest version. So the clean version will be in the master. And you can add some features in a separate branch, but once they are validated, you can push all of these modifications into the master. But in general, in my case, I'm creating the header code in a separate branch. And then once they are validated, so I can push everything, all of that into the master. And if we take a look here, now if we just tables right here, you see that the modified code is index.html, and I add a new file. Okay, let's just add all of that and commit the changes. I'll go for add header. Now, if I do get tables right here, I'll see that the modification, nothing to commit. Now, if I do 3 right here, you see that I have header.css and the index.html modified. But once I switch to the master, let's just switch to master branch. And now if I list the files, you will see that I don't have the header.css. And if I just, and for the index.html code, I don't have the header tag, HTML tag that I add. Why? Because I don't push all of these changes from the header branch into the master. And this is why we should use branches. Okay, let's just switch again to the header. Okay, and I will push that into the remote. Git push origin, I'll go for header. Okay, now I refresh from GitHub, and you'll see that this is a header created, and I need just, this is the header. As you see, I can switch to the header, and if I access to CSS, you'll see that I have a header.css, and I can switch to master. And the header CSS is not here. Okay, and this is how we can create branches, all of that. Okay, super interesting. Or if I want to create a new branch, then switch to this new branch. So for that, there is a shortcut for that. So you'll use git checkout, then the name of the branch. Let's just go for sidebar and add this option right here, -b. Now, as you see, I switch to sidebar, and I can check that by using git branch. You see that I have a sidebar right here, and the other one, they are not selected at all. Okay, what do I have here is 2 branches. If I just check that, I have 2 branches, master and header. But I decide that the modification that I add, let's just first go to the header branch. I decide that the modification that I add into the header, which is the header.css file, and some code within the index.html, which is that HTML tag header. Let's just check that, index.html. So this header that I already add within the header branch, I want to add all of that into the master because I decide this is a feature that I want to use. Okay, now but first I need to switch into master. Okay, now I'm within the master. Then I need to merge the header modifications into the master. But there is something that will be used when I use this command right here, when I use this merge. So there is 2 cases. So the first case, if there is a linear path from the current branch tip into or to the target branch, so in this case, I will have a fast forward merge. Okay, and this is what we have. This is before merging in case of fast forward merge, and this is after a fast forward merge. But in the opposite, if we don't have this linear path from the current branch tip to the target branch, you will be forced to use the 3-way merge. We don't do that manually. Merge will define that. Why we'll use, and the difference between the three-way merge and the fast-forward merge is this three-way merge will use a dedicated commit to tie together the two histories. Okay, but we don't have to do that manually. So this merge right here will choose the algorithm fit to our case. And if you want to just get some details about how merge work exactly, you just go to this URL right here and you will find out too many details about all of that. Okay, now I'll just hit enter and you will see that I have a fast forward, and this is this case. We have a linear path. Why? From this is the current of, this is the source and this is the target. Or this is the current chip and this is the target. Okay, now if I just do tree, you will see that I have a header.css. And if I just check the code within the index.html, you will see that I have the header code. Okay, let's just switch to the header. I will switch to the header branch and I'll add a new header.html page. Okay, now I open this header.html and I add some code. Header. And okay, let's just finish that. I'll go for navigation. Let's just keep it simple like that because the goal is not learning the HTML here. It's just, the goal is just learning Git. Okay, now if I just hit Git stages, you will see that I have a header.html ready, is interact, ready to be staged, and I need to commit the changes. But what if I decide that I need to work on something else instead of header, but I want to save this and stage it, this interacted files, or I want to just save this uncommitted files. So for that, there is a command for that from Git. You just need to use git stash, then hit enter. But the problem is, before using this git stash, you need to stage the files. So for that, you just need to use add the files into the staged array. Now, if I just hit again git stash, you will see here I saved the working directory and index. Okay, the header is just return to the initial value or to the initial position. What I mean by that, now if we just return for just list the files, you'll not find that the header.html is created. But I created here and I add some code on it. What I do when I'm using git stash is just I'm saving the uncommitted files for later. Now I can create a new branch. Okay, I will go for a sidebar and I'll add, now I'm switching the sidebar if you see here. And if we want to be sure, let's just use guest branch. You'll see that asterisk right here and I'm using green right here. It's just telling me that sidebar is a selected branch. Now I can create a new, if I list the files, there is no header.html. I just need to add a new file. Okay, I will go for sidebar dot. I just need to add a sidebar.html. Okay. Now, if I open the sidebar.html, I will add a tag. Let's go for a side. Save that. Now I'm working on the sidebar, not the header. Now I open the CSS. Let's just add sidebar as an example, CSS, and I'll go for a side. Background red. Cool. Now what I'm doing here is I'm working on the sidebar. So I decide that I finished the sidebar and let's just add that, stage the files, then commit the changes. Commit, add a sidebar. Because I decide that I need to finish first the sidebar, then I can move to the header. But the problem was that I already I was on the middle of working on the header, but I can't stop working on that. This is why I use git stash. I use git stash to just save the uncommitted files. Now, if I just move to the header, I want to bring back the header.html that I don't save. For that, I can just use git stash, apply, not apply. Now, as you see here, I have a new file, header.html. Here, I don't have it. Now, if I just list the files, you will see that I have this header.html. And if I open the header.html, you will see that I have the code right again. So I bring back again the uncommitted changes and I can work on the header and do whatever I want. So this is just a great way if you are in the middle of working on something, then you need to move to another branch and finish your work. If there is a bug that it needs to be corrected or something like that, or there is a feature that you need to work, and because this is the first thing, this is the primary thing that you need to work on. And this is why Git stash will be a great. It will be very handful that helps you to just save the uncommitted, so the uncommitted changes for later. Then you can return to the branch and finish the work. I use Git clone to clone Bootstrap project from GitHub. And if we take a look at this Bootstrap project, you see that there is an 80,623 commits, which is a huge number. So for example, if you want to get some information about this commit, okay, let's just click here. And if you want to just get some commits that are committed by a specific order of, or if I'm looking for a commit for a specific time frame, so doing that manual is quite impossible because this is a huge number, and 80,623 is just a huge number. I can't do that manually. So, but the first thing, let's just move here to the terminal, and I'm just using this git log. I'll use the git log, which will show me the whole history, and I can access to all of the commits. But this is not the case of using git log because I have 18,623 commits, which is, as I already said, a huge number. So to navigate through the log, you can just use the directions and from the keys directions, or if you want to quit, just type Q and you want to quit. So another type here, if you want to just navigate into the end of this log, logs, I just need to type Shift and G, and I will get into the end. If you see here, I have an end, which defines that I'm in the end of the file. As you see here, I have 2011 or 2011, which is the first commit when Bootstrap is started. Okay, let's just quit that by typing Q. Okay, open the git log. Then if you want to quit, just type Q. Then you will quit. When I type git log, it shows me the full history, but I'm not interested with the full history. I just want to limit the number of commits to the output with, for example, 2 commits. And for that, I will use git log, then this -n, when n should be a number. It can be a number 2, 3, or any other number. If I want to limit the output to two commits, for that I will use 2, then hit enter. And as you see, I have the 2 commits from the whole list of commits. Okay, if I want to go to 5 ones, I just need to hit 5. Now I have 5 commits. Now, if we are looking for a commit for a specific time frame, and if we just type git log, you will see that there is multiple. We have a date here, Monday, April 1, and Friday, March 29. And if I want to just limit that, I can use the flag after, and I can use a date. For example, let's just go for 28 March 2090. Now, if I hit enter, you will see that I get 2 commits. What I mean by this after right here, it means that show me any commits after 28 March 2019. Okay, this is what I want to get. And the same as after, we have since. Okay, the since is just, it is the same as after. I'll just use one. And so after 28 March 2019 is the same as since 28 March 2019. Okay, now if I just show the history, okay, let's just go again. You will see that I have Monday, April 1 and Friday, March 29, which is after 28 March. If I want to go before, so for that, I need to use before instead of after. Now I will just keep the same date, but I will get any commits before this 28 March 2019. And if we just hit enter, you will see that I have this March 27, but it will go until the first one. And let's just type Shift G to go to the last one of the first commit. So we'll go to the first commit because this 2011 is the first one. So we'll go from the Wednesday, March 27 until the first commit. I'm not here defining the until, so, but it is defined by default because this before is vague. It's from this 28 March 2019 until the first commit. So this is what you need to keep in mind. And we have the same as before. We have until. If it's the same as before, just choose one and use it. Now, if I want to define a range of dates, so for example, since until, so I can use git log and since 28 March 2019 until, as an example, I will go for, let's just go for 2 April 2019. Okay, what do I have here? Just 2 commits. Because this range that I'm defining, I have only 2 commits in this range. And if I go here, let's just define that to have more commits. I will use 2018, which means 1 year, more than 1 year. But I will have a huge amount of commits. I will have a large list of commits. Now I can navigate through that if I want to go until to the end. And this is the Tuesday, March 27. I'm sure it's 2018. Okay, and this is just a list of commits that I'm getting from this range of date. I'm just defining here, I'm just looking for a commit for a specific time frame, and I define this time frame. But what you need to keep in mind is this date right here, they can be formatted like that. So I will go for month first. Let's just go for 3 and 28, which is the date, and 2018. So if it's the same as this one, so this format is like this one, and okay, let's just hit enter. I'm getting the same result, and I can do the same thing for this one. The month is the first one. If it's 4, then the day is 2, and the year stay the same, and I hit enter. Now, if I'm looking for a commit created by a particular user, and I want to just get a commit whose order match a specific pattern, and for that, I'll use git log, then the flag order, and this is the pattern. I can use here regular expression, but if I'm sure I know exactly what's the name, I can just use John as an example, and it will just get into this order and find John. And let's just find John. You will see that I have every name with John. And if I want to get the John and Adam, so in this case, I need to use a regular expression. And let's just use the regular expression instead of the string. Okay, I'll go for that. Then add the parentheses. Okay, let's just add the name first. Adam and John, or John, not and John. Okay, we'll use an or. Just use or here. Sorry. Or now let's just add the delimiters. First one. Just go for the second one. Okay, cool. Now let's just hit enter. I'm getting Adam and also John. And you can use any regular expression within the order. Now, if I want to find a message that matches the specific pattern, for that, I can use grep. Okay, let's just use grep, which will need a pattern. Okay, let's just go for any text. But first, let's just type git log to see here. I have, for example, this remove CSS variables, and I will just try to find a CSS by using this SCSS by using grep. And for that, I'll use git log, then grep, and we'll type SCSS. Now you will see that it will find SCSS within the message. So it matches the pattern in our case because I'm giving it the CSS word, and you will find out that there is multiple ones. Okay, let's just navigate through the file. You'll see there is multiple SCSS within the message, and this is what I'm getting. You can add any regular expression within this grep, so it will work. I clone another repo, which is this one. Okay, let's just go to the full size. Now, we have another option to format the commits. So, for example, we can use this git log one line, which will condense each commit into a single line. And what we have here is just the ID, sometimes the tag, but in general, we have the message. So the ID and the message, instead of all of the information. So for example, if we are using git log, we are getting this order, date, and the commit ID and the message. And by using one line, you are just limiting the information you are getting by condensing all of that into just the ID and the message. We have also another interesting option, which is graph. Okay, let's just type graph. And what do we have here is this option draws an ASCII graph representing the branch structure of the commit history. And if we just keep navigating and you'll see that I have some branches right here. But the problem is I don't want to get all of this information. So the author and the date. So I just want to get the ID and the message and the branch. So for that, I can combine graph and one line option. Okay, now as you see, we have just the ID and the message. If we take a look at this example right here, you will see that this asterisk shows which branch on the commit was on. So then the graph tells that this commit right here, or these two ones, are on the topic branch, and the rest, or for this last one, is returned to the master. So it's just like a wrapping so the commits of the specific branch. So this is the merge pool, and this is why you see this asterisk of this line is just deviating like that. Then after the merge, we just return to the master. Now we'll go through some examples that you will find yourself using a lot. Okay, now I'm inside the project. Let's just go to this web project. Okay, so the first one is git log graph, which you already see, and which will show the branches, and the one line, which will help us to condense all of the changes or all the history in one line. And if we take a look here, we only have the ID, the branch, then the message. And this is what you find yourself finding a lot, because in general, this is what you are interested with: the message, the branch, and the ID, and not the other stuff. Because if I just remove this graph and git log, you will get this author and date, and we are not interested with that. But graph and one line, in this case, I don't have any graph. Okay, let's just go to Bootstrap project, and they'll type the same command, and they'll go for merge. You see that graphs will show me the graph and the ID and the message. And if you want to show the whole commit history, but skip any merge, okay, let's just see that. So I have graph and one line, and I don't want to get this merges. So for that, I will just use git log, then no merges flag. Okay, now if I'm finding for merge, I will not find any merge. And you see that in real example. Okay, let's just go vertical. I'll go to the desktop, open I2, let's just show that. Git log, merge, let's just show that. Git log, merge, merge. I'll try to get this merge. I'll try to get this history of this commits from December 22 to December 23, and I'll show you why. Okay, let's just first get this commits, git log, and I'll use since 22 December 2018 until 23 December 2080. Okay, and I'll use graph to show the branches. Graph. Okay, if we take a look here, I'm giving the merges. So this is the first one. So I'm giving this merge branch version 4. Okay, now I will copy the same command right here, and I will use it on the same project. So this is the Bootstrap project, and this is the Bootstrap project or Bootstrap repo. Okay, now if I copy that, but I will use no merge, no merges. Okay, now I'm not getting the merge. Okay, let's just rerun the same one, but without no merges, which means that I will get the merges. Okay, and the result is not the same. So this is the same project. The first one, which doesn't have this no merges, I get the merges, which is merge branch, but in this case, I'm not getting the merge. Okay, let's just move on to the next one. I'll close that. So for the next one, we'll try to show all commits that are in any local branch, but not in the remote tracking branches. And for that, I'll use git log. Let's just return to a simple project when I don't have too many commits. And I'll use a git log, then branches, and not. What I mean by not, and we will find out why I'm using this not right here, and the remotes and origin. And this command, or all of that, will allow me to show all the commits that are in any local branch, but not in any remote. And this is why I'm using this not remote origin. It will not show me the remote origins. And if you see that, okay, I will just use the same project again. Let's just go vertically again. Sorry, I'm redoing the same stuff again. So let's just go to project, then Bootstrap. Not Bootstrap, but web project. Okay. I'm inside the same project. Let's just find out that. Okay, I'm inside the same project. And I will use this git log branch, not remote origin, and we'll see the result. And this is what I'm giving. I'm only giving the local branches, but not any remote tracking branch. And if I run a simple git log here, you'll find out that I'm giving everything, even the remote tracking branches. Now I will increase the complexity a little bit. Okay, let's just close that. And what we will do now is we want to track the evolution of a specific file. Okay, let's just move to Bootstrap. And we'll use an option which will help us to, as I already said, track the evolution of a specific file and how it evolves over time. And I will just pick up a file. We'll just open this function.css, go to the bottom, and I have a function, theme color level, and I want to see how this function evolved over time and how people, when they are committing the changes for this theme color, for this function.css, how they change this theme color level. Okay, let's just find out how to do that. So for that, I will use git log, then the option L, which will help us to trace the evolution. And the basic syntax of that, or the arguments that this option needs, is a star, which will be a regular expression, and then a comma, and we'll have end, then a colon, then the file name, which means that the first one will try to write a regular expression for the start and the end to find out the theme color level function. Then for the file name, we know exactly that we'll try to find how theme color level is evolving through the file function.css. Okay, let's just rewrite that. Okay, we'll go for git log, then -l, and for the star, we'll write a simple regular expression. We'll go for theme color level. Then I'll add a comma. Now we'll try to go to the end to limit, because we only want to get this theme color level and not anything else. Okay, now I will go and I use this regular expression right here to limit everything. Now I had the colon because I want to find out this theme color level inside this function.css. Okay, now let's just add the file. Hit enter, and if we take a look here, you will see how this theme color level is evolving over time, and we get the modifications of this function.css, not only the function.css, but the function theme color level. And if we see here, we add color base in this modification, we remove it, we remove this color base, or we update the arguments. Then if we just go down a little bit, on Tuesday, September 26th, so we'll see that they remove this condition, and we have some other, and we add some code right here, and we can't get too many information about only a function and not the whole file. But if we want to get the history of the whole file, so you can just type git log, then function.css. You can even use graph to see if there is any merge or something like that. You can go through the file, but it will give you all the changes, not only for a specific part of the file. So to summarize, git log is very useful if you want to just show the commit log and history, and you will find yourself using a lot the commands that I already showed you. And tracking the history is a skill that you will learn through experience and through working a lot with this git log command. So in this video, we'll use a tool that will help us to examine the content of a file line by line, and we'll find out who do I change. So by who I'm talking about other, and on each line. Okay, for that, I clone a repo. So this with Apollo Auth app. So I just clone this repo. If you want to just clone that, just copy this link. But I already do that. And let's just enter this with Apollo at. And the file that we want to examine is inside this components folder. And I want to just examine this nav.js. Who just edited this file or who just edited these lines? So for that, I'll use git blame and the name of the file. Because if you are just using git blame without the file name and it's just giving the help, so you need to use git blame an option. So in this case, we'll not go through any option. So we'll go through that by in the next steps. Now let's just use the name file nav.js. And what I'm giving as information, the ID, the author name, and the timestamp. So there is the date and the time. And we have also the line number, which is super important. And we have the line content. So this is the line number and this is the line content. But I think the most important thing here, or the most important information, are the author name and the line. And we want to just get into that. We can navigate it through the file and we'll just go from top into the bottom. If I want to just select some specific lines, I can just open that. If I want to go from 4 to 9. So for that, I can use an option right here, L. Then I'll just specify 4 to 9. So I will go from the line 4 until the 9. So I'm just filtering, or I'm just limiting the number of lines that I want to get. And we have also another options. If I want to get one line after the 9, which means that I will get only one. But if I want to just get 2, which will include the 9, I will get 9 and 10. Okay, 9 and 10. What I mean by that, so we'll start from the line 9, then we'll go by 2 lines, which means 9 and 10, including this number. Okay, let's just add, for example, 4. We'll go from 1, 2, 3, 4. So this 4, or this number 1, I'm using this plus sign, it just define the number of lines that I want to display. We have also some interesting option. I will go for git blame, then s, then the nav.js. I mean by this s, so it will just suppress all of the other information. It will not show the orders and all of that. It will only show the line numbers, the ID, and the line content. It will not get the date and the order. And we can combine the options. So I can go for this dash s to suppress all of the other information. Then I'll go for L to limit the numbers or the lines. I'll go from 1 to 7. Okay. Now, as you see, I don't have the other information and I'm limiting the line numbers. We can also show emails instead of the author name. So for that, I'll use the option E, then the name of the file. If we take a look here, I'm having this other email. Also, this is the other emails instead of the other name. Now let's just open git blame again, nav.js, and we have some modification here. And we want to just focus on this one where Vivian do something in this date right here on this line. So for that, I will copy this ID and I will use, instead of git blame, I'll use git log, then the ID, then the option patch, and just give me some information and on what Vivian does exactly on this file. And I'm giving here that he update this line or incomment this line. This is the new modification. And they also change the content of this hyperlink from home to home page. And the other change here is also user settings. He just update the hyperlink from user settings to user profile. What to take in mind is that git blame only operates on individual files and not on the whole repository. And it is used to examine the content of the file line by line and see when each line was modified and who the author who does the modification. In order to understand what is exactly a tag, let's just go through a real example. So I'll open this Bootstrap project, then I'll just type git log and have this one line, which will give me the condensed result plus decorate to show the tags. Okay, and I will I'll try to find for tag. And what do I have here? So we have a tag that represents a version when we have this version 4.3.1, when the first number is used for the major release, and the second number is used for the minor release or for minor releases, and the last one is used for patches. Okay, major, minor, patch. So to summarize, tags I've used for versioning for a specific release. Okay, how to create them. But before we create any tag, there is something important here. So as you see, this tag is used as a reference on a specific Git history. And we see that the tag version .3.1 is used on this specific ID. Now let's just create a new tag. Okay, I will move to another project, which is with Apollo. And to check if there is any tag on this project, we'll just type git tag. And now I have nothing, it's empty. Now to create a tag, I'll just use this git tag, then the tag name. Okay, the tag name in our example, I will go for version 1.0.0. Okay, now I create the tag. Now if I want to check for the tag list, I'll use git tag. It gives me that there is a version 1.0.0 tag and where it's located. So if I just type git log, it will be located right here. It is here on the head. And as I already said, that the tag is a reference that points to a specific point in a Git history. And to check that, to check the references, I will go to the .git folder. Then I'll go to the ref folder. And I have a tagged folders right here. Let's just open that. And as you see, it creates a new file, version 1.0.0. And if we just open this file, I'll just use cap. And you'll see that there is an ID here. So this is a reference. And if we use git log, you'll find out and use the search, you'll find out that it's a reference, there is a reference into this commit right here. Let's just return to the folder. Okay. Now let's just show the log again, and I will use one line to condense the result. Now I want to create another version, but at this specific position. So let's just remove this one line. And I want to use from here to here, for example, from here, I want to create a version, or at this specific position, I want to create a version 0.0.9. Okay, let's just select that. And I will use git tag and another option which will be used for annotated tags. And you will see that I can add a description for this tag. And I'll use the name of the tag. Let's just go for 0.0.9. Then I choose the ID right here. So I will create a reference to this ID. Now it gives me, it just pop up this to add a description, and I can add just any message. So this is a new version or whatever. Okay, and I can save that. Now, if I just type git tag, I will have another version. And if I just type git log, you will see that I have another version right here. And this is the version 1, and I create another tag, version 0.0.9. And if you want to take a look at the Git folder, then reference and tags, you'll find out that there is another file, .0.0.9, which is a reference. And if we just check out that, display the content of this file, version 0. Okay, you'll see that there is a reference into the ID. Now you have an idea on how to list the tags and how to create a tag by using the tag, then the tag name. And we also have an idea on how to create an annotated tag by using the annotated option right here. Then the tag name, you can use any tag name you want. Now, how to delete the tag? For example, for this one, I want to delete it. So to delete this tag, you just need to use git tag, then -d, and the name of the tag. Okay, done. So deleted tag. Now, if I just type git log again, you will not see the tag. Let's just recreate the same tag by using git tag. Okay. Let's go for a new patch. Now, if I just type git log again, you will find out that I have a tag right here. Nah, this is not what I want to create. Not the version 1, but version. Let's just remove it. Tag delete version 1.0.2. Let's just recreate it again. I'll use 0.0.9. Go for new patch. Cool. Save that. Type git log again. Okay, I have this tag version 0.0.9. Okay, how to check out? So I want to just check out or go to the specific version. Okay, I can use git checkout, then the version 0.0.9. Now, if we take a look and I type git log, you only have in, so as you see, this is the head now at the version 0.0.9. You are not given the version 1 commits, and you are given all of the commits after of this specific tag. So this is considered as a version 0.0.9. We'll do the same thing for the version 1. Okay, I'll use version.1.0, and you'll see that now if I just type git log, you'll see that the head is now at the version.1.0.0. So you can switch version and go to any version you want. To push the tags is straightforward. So you just need to use git, then push origin. For example, if you want to push this version.1.1 tag, you just need to use this push origin version 1.0.0. I don't want to push that because this is a real project and I don't want to push this tag. And to push everything or all the tags, okay, for example, if you want to push this 0.0.9 and all of them, you can use git push and this hyphen 2 times, then tag with plural, not singular. Now you can push all the tags into the remote. And to have a definition for the difference between a tag and a branch, so just think of a tag like a branch or a read-only branch when you can't modify anything. And the branch is the line of development, because branch can be merged with another branches when you can do commits and do changes and everything. But this is not the case for a tag. A tag is just used as a reference that can point to a specific point in the history. So in this case, we'll just define a one part. So we'll go to this point to define a tag. So use tags for versioning for specific releases. So in this video, we'll discover how to use rebase. But the interesting thing that we will go through is we'll also go through an example when we use merge, because in order to understand rebase, you need to have a general idea on how merge works. So this React app is not a Git repo. So the first thing, let's just use Git for this folder. And now let's just add or stage the files. And I will do the first commit, which is the initial one, initial commit. Okay, and if I check the log, so this is the first commit. And what do I have here is I create a new commit on the master branch. So this is the master branch. This is the first commit. Okay, we'll add another commit. So we'll go to the components folder, open the nav file, and I'll replace this navigation by nav. So let's just go to the bottom of the file, go to this navigation, and replace this navigation by nav. Now, what do I have here? Git servers. I'll stage the file, git add nav.js, and I'll commit the change. Commit and update navigation or nav component. Okay, if I just retype git log again and show the result, I have 2 commits. Now, what do I have? I have another commit within the master branch. Or if somehow another developer decide to work on another feature, so he needs to create another branch, or will go for a new branch layout, then let's just create 2 other files that will go for header and footer. So this is inside this layout. So I'm working now inside. So I just pretend that another developer is working on this layout feature when they create 2 files, header.js and footer.js. Okay, let's just add these 2 files, and I will use 2 commits separately. I'll add the first one, which is header. Then I will commit the change. I'll go for add header, and I'll add the first one. I'll add the first one, which is footer, and commit the same change. Commit and I will use add footer. If I just show the logs, so I have an add header and add footer. Okay, to understand what I'm doing here is just I create from the master branch, from the master branch. The second developer is just creating a new branch. This new branch is layout. Then he do two commits. So in this case, we are having this presentation right here. We have two commits, but this is the layout branch, not the master branch. And when we create a new branch, we create it from this position, from the second commits. So this is the starting point. Then we create a branch with two commits, and this is the master. Now we'll try to create a problem. And what this problem is, I will pretend that there is a developer one who works on the master branch, and let's just move to the master branch and change the file. Okay, let's just remove a line. Save that. Stage the file. Okay, let's just remove a line. Save that. Stage the file. Commit the change. Commit the change. Go for update. Readme. Now, if I just type git log, you will see that I have an update readme, which means that the master now has a third commit and the same one here. But the problem is with checkout, or when you create the branch, when the other developer is working on this layout feature, when he creates this branch right here, he created from this commit right here. Now, we have two solutions to adapt this layout branch into the master. So the first solution is merge, and the second solution is rebase. And we'll go through them both and we'll discover what each one of them will give us as a result. To merge the changes into the master, you need to check out how to be on the master branch. Then you need to use this git merge and the name of the branch you want to merge. So for that, I'll use git merge layout. Sorry, merge branch layout. And this is just for the message, and I'll save that. Okay, now if I just retype to show the logs, you will see something here and I will explain what we have here. So for that, we will do a three-way merge. Why? Because we have one commit ahead of the layout branch. And what this merge do exactly is just stuff this two commits. Okay, I will use another color into one commit on the master. And this is what do we have as a result. And I will draw that into the graph to see that. So these are the master commits. And this is the merge of the layout commits. Okay, I'll use another color. These are the commits from the layout. Then I'll just stuff these two commits into one on the master branch. We finished now with the merge solution. Now let's just discover what rebase do exactly. For that, I will create a new branch and I'll go for a form message. Okay, this is a new branch from the master. Now, what do I have? I have another branch which is created from this position right here. Another branch which is created. I don't have any commits. Okay, before I draw the branch, let's just add some files. Okay, I'll go to the components. Then I add a new files. I'll go for alert.js and I'll go for another file. Okay, let's just tool type as an example. Tool type.js. Okay, let's just stage the first one, which is alert, and commit that, add alert, and stage the second one, which is tool type, and commit the change. And I will go for add tool type. What I did here is I create two commits on the form messages branch, but instead of using merge, I will use rebase. I create a new commit on the master branch, which is this one at the reset. Now I need to adapt this form messages branch into the master branch. Instead of using merge, I'll use rebase. And why I create this commit is just to create a problem like this one when I create a one commit from the master branch, which will be ahead of this branch. So as the same here, we have a commit which is ahead of the form messages branch. First, I need to move to the form message branch. And I will use git rebase master. And this is what do we have as a result now. But in order to adapt this form messages branch commits into the master, I need first to move to the master. Then I will use git rebase and I will use the name of the branch. Okay, let's just first open the log to see what do we have as a result. Now, let's just redraw the graph. Okay, I'll remove everything here. So the commit of the for message will be added at the master. So it's like rewriting the history. The commits that we had from the for message branches, they are now used as a commit on the master. And this is what do we have here. So this is the first one, second one, and the third one. And when I use the rebase, I just use the commits add alert and add tool type from the for message. And no, we don't have any graph like that, because by doing that, we are merging the commits from the layout branch into the master, and by using the rebase, we are just like rewriting the history. We use the commits from the for message and we add them into the master branch. And the difference between rebase and merge, and as you see here, so this layout branch, when you are using merge, you are just using the commits from this branch and stuffing them into one commit. And this is what do we have here. So we just take these two commits from the layout branch and stuff them into one commit, this one, and we'll just stuff them into one commit on the master. But in the opposite one, you are using a rebase, we just take the commits from the branch, in our case, the for messages, when we have this add alert and add tooltip, and we rewrite this commit into the master branch. Okay, let's just add these two types. I forget to add them. Use this rebase wisely, because sometimes it can create problems. And by problems, I mean that you will sometimes lose the history. And sometimes if you are just sharing the work with someone when you are working on the same branch, so it just can create some confusion. Just use it wisely and use the rebase if you know exactly what you are doing. I clone a GitHub repo, which is a calculator. Okay, let's just start that. npm. So I have the files right here, and let's just start this repo, start this project, which is a React application. npm start, and it will just start a server here. Move that. And this is an application. For example, if you want to calculate the percent or 50% of this 8, which means that this is the 50%. I have, for example, the number 8, and I want to get 50% for this number, which is give me as a result 4. Okay, let's just calculate that by using the calculator. Okay, 8, and I'll go for 50%. And it gives me 4. Okay, good. But somewhere in my application, it's just showing me a problem, and I want to just find out where the problem is. When I just calculate 50%, it just gives me another number. I want to just track down where is this problem or track down this bug. So for that, there is a tool that can help you to go through each commit and tell Git if this commit is correct or not. And I will use this tool, which is Git bisect, which will go one commit after one by using a binary search to help me to track down this bug. So the first thing to do is I use git bisect start, so to start this tool. Then the second one is I need to define, so let's just use git bisect good. Before I use git bisect good, so the first thing to do is let's just use git log one line, and I know exactly that at a specific position of my web application, or so at this specific position, so the application is working well. But somewhere here, I think that there is a problem when this is what I'm trying to track down. So for that, let's just close that, and I will use again git log. But before that, let's just copy this ID because that is working, and I will define to git bisect good that this ID is working well. Okay, so the first tag I define to bisect that this ID at this specific position, the calculator is working fine. Now I need to define where it is not working fine, and I'll just use git bisect bad, and I keep it like that. It will use the initial commit. Now I need to define if this commit is working good or not. I will go, let's just check that. I'll do 8 time, and I will go for 50%. And I found out that there is a problem here because 50% of 8 is not 40, is 4. And for that, I will just need to define to bisect that there is a bad commit. Okay, define that. Bisect bad. Okay, let's just check it out again. 8 time 50%, and there is good. Git bisect good. Now the last command that we will use is git bisect reset, which will check out our current branch and put it back in a good working state. Now it's super good. Let's just check it out again. 8, Let's just go for another number. I'll go, for example, for 40. Let's just calculate 50% of this number, and we have 20. What we did exactly is just we define that this is the good position when the application is working well, and by using git bisect, we track down when the bug is introduced on this specific part, and we define if this one is good or not, if this one is good or not. And once you just find out where the problem is, you can reset the application by using the git bisect reset to check the current branch first, then put it back in a good working state. Okay, what is git ignore? So git ignore is the kind of files that you use in order to just ignore some files to be pushed and committed into your repository or into your Git repository. So for example, in our project, we have a folder node modules, which include all of the dependencies. If I open this node modules, you will find out that there is multiple folders here that I'm not interested to push into the repository. So the problem here, if I just use git status, I don't have anything staged, but let's just open the file, which I already have within this repo. Okay, I'll use ls_all, and I have this git ignore file. If I just open this file, so in any repo, in any GitHub repository, when you clone it, you will find out that there is a .git ignore files, one that include some ignored files and also folders. Not only files, but also folders. And if we take a look here, you will find out that there is a node module, a coverage. These are folders, and we have a build folder, so which includes something, it's only used for the production, the DS store, which is a file that can be generated for the Mac operating system users. And we have the log for the npm command. For example, if I just comment that, let's just comment that. And I just comment node module, which means that I'm not ignoring the folder. Now, if I just type git status, you will find out that the node module, so I have something modified here, which I need to stage them and commit the changes. But the problem is I have also this node module that I need to also commit that. But the problem is that this node module is a heavy folder. It includes all of the dependencies. People who just sharing with them this project, they are not interested with what is inside of node module, but what they are interested with this package.json. And if we open this package.json, you will find out that there is all of the dependencies, and people who will have this project right here, they just need to run npm install instead of giving them the whole folder, which is node module in our case. Okay, for that, you just need to ignore the folder. And by ignoring the folder, you just need to put the name of the folder, in our case, node module. And another folder here is the coverage for people who are using testing. This coverage folder will include the tested results. Sometimes can be an HTML file and XML files, depend. So this build folder will be used for the production when you want to just deploy your website, and this npm log, and all of that should be ignored. So if you have any folder that has a git repo, so this git ignore should be included, and it depends on the project. We don't have a normal or a general git ignore file which includes all of this stuff, but it depends on the project you are working on, and it depends on the operating system you are using. And if we take a look here at this GitHub repo, which is the git ignore, you will find out that we have multiple templates depending on the project. If, for example, I go to WordPress and I open that, you will find out that there is the ignored files here. And we have a WP config. Why? Because this WP config is including the authentication, the username, and the password. So you don't have to put or to commit these files and push it into GitHub repo, because it includes authentication, and this is not something that you need to share. Same thing for the backup. Same thing for other files and folders right here. The uploads, you don't need to push or to commit to the uploads folder because it includes the images and super heavy. You can even, let's just take a look to another one. Okay, there's multiple ones here depending on the project. And you see, okay, let's just use node and git ignore. Here you'll find out that there is a log. You don't want to share them, you want to push them and commit them, because this folder are super heavy, and sometimes it includes some public information that you don't want to share. And we have a cover folder you already saw, and we have the .grant folder, and you don't have to use all of this file. So it's dependent on the project, because in some folders, maybe you don't have this coverage folder, maybe you don't have this other files right here. But sometimes you can find out that there is asterisk right here, which means that any file which has this extension, not only one file, because if you want to just define one file, you just need to add the name plus the extension. But in general, if you want to exclude any file that have a .pid extension, you just need to use this asterisk right here. Sometimes you will find out that you can combine multiple things here. Okay, just keep in mind, sometimes, as I already said, you can combine multiple ones. And if we just open this git ignore file, you will find out that we combined some files, some configuration of node module, we have coverage, we have also DSStore. So it depends. Just you can use this template from here and just check out what do you want to just exclude. And other interesting thing is just you can combine multiple one, because sometimes you can have a React project and also using PHP or also using a framework like Symfony or other one, and you want to just exclude all of these files. Just open the template that is, or for example, if you're having a project that use Kick PHP and also a Node module, just open the template of Node, then open also the Kick PHP.gitignore and ignore all of the folders and the file that you don't need to use. Ignore the file that include the authentication, because there is too many repositories on GitHub when you can find out that people are not aware of that and are just pushing the file that include the authentication, the API key, and all of this stuff. Be aware of that and ignore these files. Okay, how to do that is very simple. As I already said, just create a .gitignore file and add the folders and add the files that you don't need to use. And if you want to just exclude any file which has a specific extension, use this asterisk right here and the extension you want to exclude, and you will exclude any file that has this specific extension.